Oh, g'day guys. Matt here. Bit of a bolt from the blue. I just bought myself some new microphone, so I'm just decided to test it out and thought we'll go back and do an old-fashioned preview. Then I can sort of measure apples with apples, but we'll just jump into it. So most of you know the drill. It's for the Wednesday night meeting in Launceston on Wednesday the 10th of October. Rails out 7 the entire. Weather in Launceston today is low 20s, blue sky, not a cloud to be seen. Similar forecast tomorrow, actually a bit warmer if anything, it's meant to be 23 or 24. So if the past 15 years is anything to go by, it'll be on-speed fence dominated, especially later in the night, but we won't get too much involved with that. First up, we've got just going to pick out 3 or 4 races and a couple of the better chances and leave it at that. So I'm recording, aren't I? Yes, I am. So 2-year-old, there look to be 2 standouts here in Aristopoulos for John Blacker and Moments Like These for Stuart Gandy. Only 3 trainers represented. Both the Blacker horses have trialled well, but Aristopoulos was mighty impressive at Mowbray. Actually, I'll go and how do you do this half and half thing? Oh, yeah, and I'll put Tas Racing there. Yep. So Aristopoulos, we'll just wait for it to load. So his trial is here.
Now moving forward.
So he draws gate 1 in the Hanson colours, the blue and gold. And this is, what's its name? Hard Empire. Or Hard Empire's a good horse. It's not him. It's something Empire. But this is the other horse here, the top weight, or number 1. So you can see he's just doing it very easily. And the thing I really like about it, he just gets asked and just finds 2 or 3 lengths very quickly. So yeah, very impressive there. So it's even this horse isn't sort of fully wound up and looks a bit one pace as he'd bolt in its next trial. It's hard to see it turning the tables. And the other one is Moments Like These. It's actually no, it's out of a mare called Mintha. So probably need to be as old as me to remember the Moments Like These. We need Minties, the old advertisement. So quite well named. Oops. Sure what I did there.
It's like these finished off nicely.
So I'll just actually go back to the turn.
Blue
So it's behind the leader. It's behind the leader in the royal blue. Got the 2 Gandy horses. Both of these are racing tonight as well. Here it is here, just pretty good work late. Especially its last 50 metres, not asked for a lot, but finding the line very well. So clearly the one out of that trial you'd like to be on. So I think one of those 2 will win. So the betting, they're not giving much away. It was a Brutal Empire. I was calling it Hard Empire. So, but it's hard to see Brutal Empire turning the tables on Aristopoulos. I just think from barrier 1, it's probably the one. But do respect that it's hard to say which trial was the better until you actually marry them up. But 1 from 7 in race 1. Race 2, pretty open race. Over 1,200. You've got the betting. I'll just have a quick look. That's probably the best way to look at it. So. Got a few in the market here. You've got Wautista being $10 into $3.90 now, and Shaborn Rising. I think they're the 2. You've also got forgotten how to pronounce it. Babuaji at $5. Pretty good on debut, but it was a pretty plain race, if truth be told. And I think these other 2 had better form. So if we just actually look at those. Help if I talk into the microphone. So, Vortista's an ex-Victorian horse for Adam Trinder. So, trialled at Devonport behind Beneficiary, who's $1.50 in a later race on this card. If you take this on face value, so that's it pinged to the front in the red with the yellow Maltese. Beneficiary leaders back here, and can't think, is it Pay Rise or something? It's favourite in the last race on Wednesday night, this horse on the outside. But this horse here absolutely walks in at its next start. So you just see it gets up the inside under riding. And these two here, if you take the fact that this horse bolted in, these two appear to try almost as well. The only word of caution I will say is that this horse here just looks like a big one-paced, just keeps going and going. So he's never going to trial super. So have a bit of an asterisk, the fact that it trialled well against Beneficiary, but it's still good work as far as I'm concerned. I think one of those, and both of those horses will be mighty competitive on the night. And the other one in this race is the first starter, Shaborn Rising, who trialled exceptionally well also at Longford. So most people are probably aware of the Shaborn colours.
Tigers on top going through in the centre. Zavala's down on the inside, a half length away in third.
Just hit the mute, so it's second last here on the outside. And you got Simply Deeds, who won at start prior to a spell. And it's also racing tonight as well, but actually I probably shouldn't have gone. So you can just see it pull to the outside here. And this is outside a last start winner. It's good work for a first starter. So it's going to be ready, knew it to ride as well. So just on the basis that I'm going to have Vortista racing handy up front, lean its way slightly. So 8 from 11 in race 2. Race 3, I probably wouldn't worry too much about. Just a bunch of plotters over the mile. Race 4, Beneficiary. Might just go and have a look at his run actually in race 4. That was the horse in the trial I was alluding to. Oh,
so they're all in at the 1400 metres. The maiden, race 2 of the night. And the gates are back. They're away and racing.
So you can see in the Star Thoroughbreds colours. You can tell it's been a long time since I've done one of these. More ums and ahs than a God knows what. So you can just see it just keeps grinding. There's no huge change up. It just keeps increasing the tempo and sort of winding it up. That's what I was trying to allude to in that saying in the trial. It's not a push-button horse with high cruising speed. It just keeps winding and winding, and you just see the further they go, the further in front it gets. It's a dead set moral, I think, at $1.50 if you like. And it looks like the more ground, the further they go, the better it'll get as well. And that's an extra couple hundred metres tonight, so no problems tipping it at $1.50. Race 5 is one of the features. Pretty thin race. You've got a few here that probably looked outgraded, to put it politely. You've got Crack the Shutters and Mazzini came through the same race, and Mazzini beat Daytona Diva the start prior. The only slight concern here, I think she's way better with a sit Crack the Shutters. And with the small field and a bit of dead wood there, you probably wouldn't want to let Mazzini get away with murder up front, especially if there's any on-speed fence bias. But that previous start in the 3-year-old Cup, it's hard to see them turning the tables. So you've got the pre-race earmuffs on. So here's the 3-year-old cup.
Too keen on moving in at present rest.
So it does. Here's Mazzini here. And here's Crack the Shutters in the green and white. So they sit second and fourth here. It's pretty dominant here, Crack the Shutters. I was all over. I just thought she was a good thing this night because it mapped perfectly for her. And she sort of puts Mazzini away pretty, in a space of about 50 metres. I said, you don't want to get a bit cocky here and just sit out the back behind some slow ones and let it dash away, because it does keep plugging away late. So I think the 1400 is going to suit Mazzini. So probably be a bit closer this time, I think, but still impossible to tip against the favourite. Actually, what's that? What price was that? About $1.50 as well. $1.45. So what's that? About $2.18, $2.17. Yeah, not the worst multi I've ever seen, that race 4 and 5, to be honest. Race 6. Couple of different form lines. We watched the trial there earlier of Simply Deep, which trialled against, was the replay we showed of the Shaborn horse in race 2. So if that trials well, if that races well in race 2, obviously big tick for Simply Deep. But I did like the run of Lady Galadriel last time. Got stuck behind some slow ones. Haven't heard much of the jockey. What's the name? Shirley Inglesey, or it's from northern New South Wales. So we'll just have a look at the replay of that run last time. And a few of them in this, like Blame It on the Boogie, was from the race. Oh, She's Trouble won the race, and Lady Galadriel. So Lady Galadriel's the one I'm interested in, though. Barrier 3. Just think it's going to get a better run in transit this time.
Cup. Hair Alley.
So you can see here's Lady Galadriel last on the outside. Here's the winner, 3 back the inside. And here's Blame It on the Boogie. So these two horses here are both in the race. Gets a little bit tight for him late, Blame It on the Boogie. And just gets a dream run here, the winner. If you just have a look here, these two horses are virtually level. Lady Galadriel 3 deep and last. You can see it's just stuck here behind horses going absolutely nowhere. So it's sort of like, and this horse here hasn't gone round a horse. The heavens have opened. That horse is now 2 lengths in front with full momentum. And if you just think that horse, they were level 200 metres ago. And because obviously the heavens opened, this horse got through and this one got stuck behind some tired ones. And here's Blame It on the Boogie. He just gets a little tight late. Still a good win, this. And hit the line pretty well there, Lady Galadriel. So, from my perspective, I know you got a little tight there, Blame It on the Boogie. I'm actually happy to think both 2 and 5 were better runs in the race than it. And Simply Reef, obviously you got the query there. So it's a pretty decent race, that, for a small field. Race 7. Obviously, Durazo back to won the Newmarket, meets most of these. Like, if you look in the Newmarket, Just Cruising was an eye-catching run, but what were the actual weights there? Durazo in the Newmarket carried 59. Actually, it should tell me there. Just Cruising carried 54. And today we're they're both carrying 59. So it's hard to sort of mount a case for anything to turn the tables. The only thing I'm always a bit wary about with Durazzo at the very shorts, $1.75 doesn't seem. I think it was $1.60 when I was looking. Yeah. So yeah, but the $1.75 is probably about right. He's obviously been very injury prone throughout the years, and plus you've got Victorian horse, and Lammings are pretty good at prepping a horse for a particular race, so got a good rep for doing that. So yeah, I wouldn't be launching in, even though at weight for age it does look. It's hard to see any of the others turning the table though, based from the new market. So not betting against him, but probably won't be launching in either. The Craig Hansen Memorial, never thought of that either, because obviously you got the, who owns this horse? How do you find out the owners? You run a detail. So I'm just thinking on the go here. It's probably not great video. Owner Jay Blacker. I was just in the colours of. Anyway, how do I go back here? Launceston race 8. So Craig was a jockey who died. I'm trying to remember. I was in school. It would have been about 81, something like that, 82. I was a Longford boy. But anyway, so obviously a lot of this will depend on how the track's playing. There's a lot with early speed here. Fast Thinker, Love and Bev, Lady Lily Luella. Yeah, so could set it up for a horse like the Longest Yard. Loving Bev, I think one of those two. I think Loving Bev proved he could sit off them the other day and not sort of have to be tear away. So probably Loving Bev just in front of the Longest Yard, and in the last. We've got Bayside, who was also in that trial we referred to earlier, so we've got a few form lines intertwined from earlier in the night, so it's also trialled subsequent to that beneficiary trial that we looked at there with Vortista and Bayside. It was probably under less riding than any of them, and then had another soft trial at Longford subsequently, ran third in this trial. From Barrier 1, if, as we mentioned right off the top, if the track is true to form, Barrier 1 in the last isn't going to be any hindrance whatsoever. You can see it's actually on the inside here in the Star Thoroughbreds colours again. Actually, I'll just go back. So you can see it's just out for a bit of a jog round, not asked to do much at all. Yeah, so I think he's the one to beat in the last, but just looking for better bets on the card. I'll go back to the... I'll just go acceptances, and we can see the field. So it's hard to line up the strength of the respective trials, but I think pretty confident 1 or 7 win race 1. Pretty confident either 8 or 11 win race 2, but not keen on either individually. Leave race 3 alone. Race 4, I think 1 picks itself, as does Crack the Shutters in race 5. Race 6, Lady Galadriel, around $5 appears worth a bet. If it is, be surprised if it doesn't run top 3. So if you get like $5, $1.75, you have a 1x2 bet. Be surprised if you don't collect. Race 7, I think Durazzo picks himself, but as I said, I'm not as keen as the other 2 shorties on the card. And the last couple, tricky race 8, ton of speed, could make it a last man standing affair, so not really keen. And Bayside in the last. So I just think that we'll make the best bet on an each way basis in race 6, number 2, Lady Galadriel. And if you don't mind multis, I'd be surprised if one of the favourites in race 4 and 5 get beaten. So you're copping about 11 to 8, that multi. So anyway, there's another preview. First one in a while. Apologise for the ums and ahs and being a bit scratchy, but let's hope my new microphone works. Probably won't do too many of these, but looking to do something a tad different, just a bit of general sport, just to keep myself occupied more than anything. But anyway, as always, good punting, and let's hope we can find a couple. Cheers, guys.